Welcome to Figure Battles, guys. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about in this video, so I'm gonna try and keep this intro as short as possible. If you're new to Figure Battles, it's my comparison series of reviews where I try and give you an in-depth look at two figures, or in this case, three figures, talk about the pros and cons, and go through the important factors that determine whether or not these figures make it into your collection. So yes, we are going to be taking a look at Vegito, more specifically the 6-inch, 7-inch scale. Now I know I am missing the Dragon Stars Vegito, and I did try to track him down, but unfortunately Dragon Stars are a little bit pricey here in Japan, and it is a little bit more than I would be willing to pay for. But for now, it's Bandai versus Demonical Fit. I won't be covering both the Super Saiyan Blue versions from Figuarts and Figuarts, because they're just basically the same figure. Accessories are the same, just with blue head sculpts. So first, the original and the best, well, that's what we're here to find out. SH Figuarts Vegito, which I have to say has aged really well despite using a mold that since has seen a 2.0 upgrade here. You know, whether it was intentional or not, I've always felt that the Goku 1.0 mold was more suited to Vegito than to Goku. Obviously, this is Goku's 1.0 body, but with Gohan's head. But yeah, there's just something about the combination of, you know, Vegeta's gloves and Vegeta's boots, you know, coupled with Goku's reverse colored gi, that gives this figure just a really nice aesthetic balance. The tapered V-line here of the torso, and just how the pants kind of bunch up at the bottom here to give more volume, in my mind really embodies the look of Vegito. One of the things I love about this figure is the head sculpt. When you look at all the older figures and the newer updated versions, I think Tamashi have always improved on their head hair sculpts. I know we don't have an official Vegito 2.0 from Tamashi yet, but I feel that, you know, this one would be pretty hard to beat. I really love the hair on the original version, even DF's version. As much as I love that sculpt too, I still wouldn't say that it's an improvement, just a different, I guess, more modern look on Vegito. Now for accessories, you get all the hands Vegito would need, as well as head sculpts for both base and Super Saiyan form. Accompanying those head sculpts are 2 faceplates for the base form and 3 faceplates for the Super Saiyan form. And where would Vegito be without his signature Spirit Sword? And yes, just in case you were wondering, you can swap out the hands with Demonical Fit's Vegito. So yes, DF's version of Vegito can use Tamashi's Spirit Sword. So yeah, it doesn't come with the Spirit Sword because they're actually selling that in a separate set along with the Super Saiyan Blue head sculpt. But if you do have both versions, you can swap out the hands like so. Figuarts Vegito also comes with his iconic crossing arms, much like Piccolo and Vegeta. Alright, so in terms of articulation, there really isn't too much of a difference, honestly. All three of these figures are actually pretty good in that department. They just kind of do it in different ways. And what I mean by that is, for example, both Figuarts and DF, they have the butterfly joints in the shoulders, but with the original 1.0 body from Figuarts, he doesn't have those butterfly joints. It's just this one peg that goes straight into the torso, and it's kind of like a pull-out joint. So you pull it out to get that extra bit of articulation, but in doing that, you kind of get gaps. Same thing can be said for the legs as well. You have those drop-down hips to get that extra bit of articulation, but in doing so, you do get gaps as well. But in saying that, you do get a cleaner looking figure. There isn't as many pieces as the 2.0 body here, which is basically the same as the 2.0 body, the official 2.0 body from Figuarts. You get the extra pieces here down in the crotch, and you do get the torso, the upper torso and the lower torso. They are split into 2 pieces to get that extra ab crunch. But with the 1.0 body, it's just the one solid torso piece. And to get, you know, more articulation, you kind of pull it up and bend it forward, and then you can go back and collapse it back down. So they kind of do different things to achieve the same results. So I guess I wouldn't really call it a downside to the figure. They just kind of do things differently, sacrificing, you know, one thing for another. And by no means is this figure perfect. There are some things that DF and Figuarts do a little or a lot better than Figuarts, and it's mainly in the way that they hide their joints. You all know this, you've all seen the 1.0 body before, but when you bend the knees like this, you do get that kind of ugly knee joint here at the front, and at the back they don't really hide it that well. They've since, or Bandai have since, you know, upgraded their leg articulation and kind of given the 2.0 body kneecaps. It just looks a lot cleaner. I mean, even the way that Figuarts does their knees just looks a lot cleaner than the way Tamashi has done their legs with the 1.0 body. Also, I've never been a fan of the way that they sculpted the shoulders on the 1.0 body. The way it's kind of pointed here, I don't know, it just looks kind of odd. The 2.0 body looks a lot cleaner, looks a lot nicer. But that's it in terms of aesthetics. You also have to factor in price as well. Vegito isn't crazy expensive like some of the other figures we've seen shoot up since they first retailed, but he is still the priciest figure amongst the three, ranging from $60 to $90. Next up, we have Figuarts Vegito, which I know technically is a model kit and slightly larger scale. Nevertheless, once built up, is definitely a solid contender. As I mentioned, it is a model kit, so that can either be a plus or a minus for you. I'm not going to get into that too much. I'm just going to try and focus mainly on the built figure itself. As with Figuarts, Figuarts Vegito does borrow parts from Goku and Vegeta molds, which I've said in the past isn't necessarily a bad thing. Surprisingly, Figuarts does get some pretty good articulation, being a model kit and all, especially in the legs and the waist. The shoulders, the arms, and the torso, it's decent enough, but it's definitely not as fluid as DF or Figuarts. And that might be because of the length of the arms, which have been a complaint about the line. The arms tend to be a little short or stubby and kind of throws off the proportions a bit. I'm also not a fan of the faces. I think they're a little off. I've said this before in my previous reviews, but the faces just seem a little, I guess, soft, a little too rounded for my tastes. The hair sculpts are fantastic though. They look really great, really sharp. I love the hair sculpts. But yeah, in saying that, the rest of the figure is really well sculpted. It has a lot of detail that's waiting to be brought out if you have the customizing skills to do so. Adding a little bit of paint, some shading, goes a long way for these kits. So it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of accessories. Yeah, they did give us all the basics. 2 fists, you know, 2 blast hands, a couple of open palm hands as well, with those hinges, which I like. Not all of the Figuarts kits come with these hinged hands, which is great. And you get 2 faceplates, a shouting faceplate that you can see here, and you get your normal, you know, stern faceplate as well. But they did miss out on a base form head, which was kind of disappointing. Figuarts did try to do something a little bit different, you know, kind of out of the box by giving us this kind of mini Gohan Buu. It's this little mini figure here that you can paint up. I didn't do that, but I'm sure if you have the painting skills, you can make that look really good. And basically what you do is you know, you can attach him onto the Spirit Sword, which is another great accessory that Figuarts has included. But you also get these crazy extensions for the Spirit Sword, which I know was in the animation in one particular scene. But to be honest, I don't know if I'll ever be, you know, posing or having Vegito with this crazy extension. As you can see, you know, the Spirit Sword can't even fit into frame, but it's a pretty long sword once you have all the extensions on. But yeah, those are the accessories. Would have liked a base form head, but yeah, not too bad. Now for the main event. I'm going to get into a little more detail with Demonical Fit here because it is the newest figure out of the three, and I know a lot of people probably want to know what they're getting into before they actually decide to buy it, or not. First, just to point out the obvious, this is almost the exact, or almost an exact copy of the Super Saiyan Blue. This is actually the blue. I know I have the normal Goku head here on, but this is the Super Saiyan, the new Super Saiyan Blue 2.0 body, and it's pretty much exactly the same same mold, except for the shoulders here. The shoulder pieces for the gi are different, which actually hinder the articulation a little bit compared to the official version here. The boots and the gloves, I don't believe are the same as Vegeta. They might be new. They do look a little bit different to the official Tamashi version. But other than that, yeah, the body itself, the base body, the gi parts are pretty much the same as Goku Super Saiyan Blue Goku 2.0. Which again, isn't necessarily a bad thing, as I mentioned before. That's basically what Vegito essentially is, Goku and Vegeta with their colors reversed. So I have absolutely no problem with that at all. Another thing that's original to this figure is, of course, the head sculpt, which looks fantastic. I love the way that this head has been sculpted on this figure. Is it better than Figuarts? As I mentioned earlier, no, I wouldn't say that it's better. It's just different. The aesthetics are different. The paint that they used is different. It's got this nice little, metallic sheen to it. It has shading. It goes from a darker orange to a lighter yellow, which looks fantastic. Might not be coming across too well here on camera, but yeah, it does have a nice shine, a nice sheen to it. I love the way that the hair is sculpted. Looks very different compared to Figuarts. The faces look great as well. There is no paint defects. It looks like they are tampoed on as well, just like Figuarts. And yeah, just really love the way that these heads and faces turned out. Even the earrings, they've got a nice metallic paint job to it. Compared to Figuarts here, the earrings are a flat yellow, and I do prefer the kind of gold metallic paint that they used here for DF's version. Overall, the paintwork is pretty top-notch on this figure. It gets a little bit sloppy here around the shoulders of the gi. It is orange paint over blue plastic, which I think is a little bit hard to do, and it's not picking up on camera really well, but the actual gi, everything is shaded. It's molded in this lighter blue plastic, which is still pretty dark, but you do get some shading all around the figure. There isn't any shading on the skin itself. Most of it is molded plastic. The forearms are molded white, and they did try to match the skin tone to the molded skin tone plastic. It's not perfect, but yeah, they did a pretty good job. Yeah, the legs look pretty good as well. What I do like is that they did use a different shade of blue for the belt. It gives it a nice contrast compared to the Super Saiyan Figuarts version. I believe the Super Saiyan Blue version of this figure here has a lighter shade of blue for the belt, which I don't know is accurate or not, but I'll have to check. But I do like the contrast with the lighter blue belt right there, so that's a nice touch. Now on to the quality. So by now I know all of you have probably heard that this figure's neck and wrist joints are prone to snap if you're not careful, and it's because the peg holes just a tad too small. My mate John from JPTOYS has this quick little tutorial on his channel on how to fix that problem. I did it to my figure, so yeah, go check out that video on his channel. I'll have a link down in the description. Watch that. If you haven't already snapped the joints on your figure, do it. Come back, watch my video. Yeah, you'll save yourself a lot of grief when you're swapping out the heads and the hands. But basically what I had to do was heat up the joint around the neck, the ball peg, and the joints around the wrists. Carefully remove the head and the hands. Did the tutorial and did the mod that JPTOYS suggested, and now it's not perfect, but yeah, I'm a little bit less nervous when I'm swapping out the heads and the hands. Just be careful, you know, don't be overly too rough with your figure, and yeah, you should be okay. So still on the topic of accessories, you do get the iconic folded arms, just like the Figuarts version, and they came out pretty well actually. They are two pieces, like so, relatively well painted, really well sculpted, and just like the Figuarts version, you do detach the normal arms and attach these folded crossed arms onto his shoulders. But the problem is, just like his head, these holes here on the folded arms are a little bit too small, and it's just, you know, just such a hassle to get them on. It really is a chore. Once you get the normal arms off, these shoulder pieces that are on the shoulder discs, they're not glued on like the Figuarts version, so they tend to drop down every time you hold the shoulder down and try to, you know, put the arms in. Those shoulders drop down, and it's just a hassle to get them in place, get them tight enough. So yeah, I don't think I'll be, you know, swapping out these crossed arms too much. Even though you know, once you get them on, it is a really good look for him. And I'll have some photos. I'll show Vegito with these crossed arms later on in the video if I haven't already. But yeah, just a real hassle to get these arms on. Really wish they would have, you know, done something to make it a little bit easier to swap out the accessories, but yeah, there's that issue there. Now you're probably going to think that I'm being too hard on DF, but I think it's worth mentioning that yeah, the plastic, the quality of the plastic just doesn't feel as good as Figuarts. They probably came out of the same factory, you know, who knows. But just something to mention, especially here in the elbows, the joints that they use feel a little weak. It's not like they're going to fall apart or anything, and you know, there's no problem, you know, when you fiddle around with it. But the rivets that Figuarts uses, they use metal rivets here, as opposed to plastic rivets for DF's version. The joints just feel a little bit, I guess, I wouldn't say loose, but because it is all plastic, it doesn't have that stiffness that Figuarts does. I don't know, I might be a little bit nitpicky, but I thought it might be, you know, something worth mentioning if you guys are concerned about, you know, quality and purchasing from a third-party company. So for accessories, you do get some nice set of hands. You get the fisted hands, a couple of fighting pose hands, much like Goku's fighting pose hands. You get some blast open palm hands, and you do get some flat open palm hands as well, all cast in white plastic. You also get something that we haven't seen before. It is an extra right hand that holds Boo's tail, head tail, whatever you want to call it. And you also get a base form head, which looks fantastic. It comes with two faceplates, shouting faceplate and a stern faceplate. And you get his Super Saiyan form faceplates as well, gritting teeth faceplate, a stern faceplate, and of course a signature smirking faceplate as well. And we finally got the crossed arms on there. I told you guys I'd get them on there for you, because once they're actually on, they do look pretty cool. But again, it was just a hassle. It took me like 10 minutes off camera. But other than that, this figure is a great looking Vegito, and for the price it's going for the price I got it for anyway, I think it's more than just a stand-in until we get the eventual official release from Tamashi, which I'm sure that they will do. Just kind of curious as to how they'll outgun DF. So again, yeah, just watch out for the neck joints, watch out for the wrist joints. Try to be patient with the shoulders, getting these crossed arms on there. DF did say that they will include a set of joints with every Super Saiyan Blue head and Spirit Sword accessory pack. So at least they are, addressing the problem and trying to fix it, even though you do have to buy something extra, from them to fix the problem. The Super Saiyan Blue head costs almost as much as this figure itself, so I might just buy another figure and paint the head blue myself, and that way I can have all three forms displayed at once. So my final verdict, guys, and this is just my opinion, but SHF just edges out Demonical Fit to take my top spot. The joints, the snapping joints, the arms, trying to get those crossed arms on is just a real pain in the ass and kind of brings down the play value of the figure. DF almost had it, they did. They have a great head sculpt, nice paint apps, a good amount of accessories, and it's reasonably priced as well. They just need to get, their QC issues in check. Once they have that sorted, again, I'm not saying that I support or disapprove of third-party companies, but if they keep up the great work they're doing so far, then I'll definitely be down for some of their future releases. Figuarts is great bang for your buck, a lot of fun as a kit and a figure, but again, it's just the aesthetics that don't sit right with me. It's a personal preference, so if you like the look, that's cool too. I love the Figuarts line. They've given us so many characters that Figuarts hasn't touched on yet, and they're definitely improving on their sculpts. Just look at the upcoming Bardock. Really looking forward to that kit. Alright guys, let me know what you think. Who takes your #1 spot? Leave your comments down below. Again, this is just my opinion. I'd love to see an official 2.0 Vegito, but I'm really happy with all the options we have right now. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video or found it somewhat informative. So just before we finish up, I just want to let you guys know that from January, I'll be posting all of my videos on Dailymotion and Metacafe first before I post on YouTube. I'll be trying to make posts, video posts on Instagram as well. I'll continue uploading content on this channel here on YouTube until the end of the year. But after that, all the reviews, all of my videos will be going on Metacafe and Dailymotion first. I'm not closing down the channel or anything like that, just kind of laying low for a while until we see, what's going to happen with all the new changes that are going to be made. I still think it's a good idea to explore some options, not to have all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. So yeah, if everything blows over, or if they find a solution where we can all, continue uploading and enjoying this hobby on YouTube, then I'll definitely be back doing the same thing that I've always been doing. But until then, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would continue to follow me on Instagram and the other two platforms that I'll be posting on. I'll have links for my accounts on my Instagram, so check that out. Again, thank you always for all your support. You guys really are the best. Thank you so much for supporting this content, this channel, my Instagram. But yeah, let's try and get through these next couple of months together. Please don't forget to support, the other channels as well that you guys watch. We are all first and foremost viewers and fans. But yeah, they need your support just as much as I do. But yeah, have a great week, and I'll be seeing you all real soon. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu.